Satanic Verses by Salman Rushdie. So good. I had this book recommended to me like 10 years ago, and I just started it. I think I was just too young at the time to really get into it as much as it deserved. And then I read it again, restarted it and finished it like 5 years ago. And then I read it again when Salman Rushdie was attacked. Every time, the book is incredible. Every single time, there's more. This is one of those jam-packed books that just keeps on giving. It's probably because it's so expansive and it's like such a framework. There's so many stories inside of it. Whether someone's, wrestling an ostrich or flying a magic carpet or clothed in butterflies or speaking to their father about a tree in the front yard. It's very rare that you read a book that is so good that people want to kill you. The amount of beauty in a book that was put under so much scrutiny for how it spoke about religion, and someone who's so critical of religion shows so much beauty in it as well. I thought that was really cool. And the symbols are so wild and evocative that parts of it are like reading poetry, and large parts of it. And it's rare to read a book that explodes in such a way. I mean, it starts with an explosion and then it just keeps on going. Characters are great. I mean, Gabriel and Chamcha, and then the woman who the prophet who's in one of the dreams that speaks to Gabriel, the family that keeps Chamcha hidden, like all of this stuff. It's so good. And they all have these really great stories. The woman on the beach, like the older, like senile woman who finds, I think, Chamcha. Well, he finds both of them. She has such a great story. He really just goes into everybody. With a lot of books, you kind of have one or two main characters and then everybody else kind of is in place, With this, he could have written a novel about any of the side characters. The plot is great. Also, it's a very character-driven plot. If you like stuff like that, there seems to be a plan, but it's very much motivated by everything that they do. It's not like some books where there's a great destiny that they're just sort of plodding along. The characters are very active and they're very troubled, especially about their identities and their histories. Chamcha more so than Gabriel, but Gabriel's mental illness and his background is no small matter. They both sort of grew up not wealthy, and they're in this very lavish world because Gabriel's like this famous Bollywood actor. You really learn to love them for all their flaws, and the book's funny at times too, where Gabriel's like breath smells really bad and that's like a running joke, and even though he's got the identity of an angel inside of him, and then Chamcha transforms briefly and he's got a really strange thing that happens to him. I don't want to spoil it. And then he eventually sort of changes back into a human. So the style's incredible. It's unlike anything I've ever read. He is unlike any writer I've ever read in that his stuff is so crazy. I know that in some circles he might be seen as a little sentimental, but I like some sentimentality in my books. Like if I wanted to read something that was just cynical beyond belief, I'd read like freaking like Dashiell Hammett or something. I wouldn't read him. The themes of home and holiness and religion and poetry and course of myth and the way stories get made is really great. There are a lot of themes though, so that can get a little overwhelming, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. I have nothing I could have done to improve it, so I hesitate to even criticize that part of it. The pacing for parts of it does get bogged down because he has so many characters and they're all so interesting and they all have so much going on. But at times you're just kind of not sure where it's going. He does tie it all up at the end, but there are moments where you just got to trust him and you just got to be like, all right, I'm in the hands of someone who really knows what they're doing. Just read the book. So yeah, overall, I got to give it a 4.5. It's one of the best books ever. I wish I had finished reading it when I was 18, 19. Then, because when I did finish reading it for the first time, I was like, holy crap. And then when I read it again, I was like, this guy is a genius. His masterclass is great for the writers out there. It's the best one, depending on what kind of writing you're doing, because there's different ones, but his in just how to tell a story and how to be great at it, he gets it. So this isn't an ad, but he nails the masterclass way better than most of the other writing ones. I've seen all of them, and his is the best. And he's the best writer out of all the ones that they got on masterclass by far. Satanic Verses, beautiful book.